So now we're living in 2024. I feel like this is the year of AI. We're going to see a boom in people using things like ChatGPT and other automation software tools. They are using it to give bad information on the internet, to sway your thinking one way or another. So we got to be very careful the kind of sources that we're using going forward in order to get our information. Now, one of the sources I like to use is Reuters or AP News, but there are many others that you can use like NPR or Al Jazeera, a few of the bigger news companies, but I still wouldn't use them as credible as I would something like the Associated Press, Al Jazeera, BBC News. Ironically, guys, as I was doing this video, I noticed this headline pop up from Reuters, and it says that Netanyahu is planning to remove Al Jazeera from Israel TV. This is a reputable news source, and I believe them when they say this. Now, if you're like me, you grew up in the 80s and you're a Gen Xer, you know that there were credible news sources and you could check the authors. This is another important way to verify information is correct. Find reputable authors. And I'm not talking about just authors of articles. This says former contributor Niall McCarthy. Now, I don't know how reputable this person is. Obviously, you can easily go check their LinkedIn or their profiles and see how long they've been doing this. But another way to do it, if you don't want to go through all of the rigmarole of this, is sometimes these people have been doing this for a long time. So they don't want to destroy their reputation by putting out an article that is slanted one way or another. I listen to people like Tom Brokaw. Now he's been in the news industry and he's probably in his 80s now, but the man never steered us wrong. It makes sense why he was on nightly news from 1982 all the way to 2004. People like Ted Koppel, Jane Pauley, Soledad O'Brien. These people were in the industry and did a great job just reporting the news. It didn't seem like a hint of bias coming out of their mouth. Now, as they got older, I believe things started to change a little for many of them, as many of you would probably agree. Barbara Walters was a staple in news in the 80s, 90s, and even into the 2000s. And as she got older, it seemed her views started to become a little slanted further to the left, although she still remained a credible source. Now, she was renowned for being in ABC's 2020, and she also had that show, The View. I'm just telling you, you have to look at a person and how they report the news. Do they bring on different guests? Are they somebody that is willing to listen to the other side? When I watch The View today, I see that news platform, because it is a news platform, they are spreading information on there, is very slanted to the left, and they do not want to hear any kind of dissenting voices. I feel it's important if you're in news. I'm not talking about channels that you see on YouTube or like a Joe Rogan podcast. Those are not news channels. Those are information channels where people are talking about topics that can vary. If you're interested in whatever they're talking about, you have the opportunity to then take that information and go further with it. I see a lot of news people that are willing to say whatever sound bites, and you guys know these clips, you see them, people do a very good job piecing together all the clips to show you how the news is just parroting each other. It's like they're living in an echo chamber where only their views matter and nobody else's. The next thing I'm going to tell you that you need to look out for, and this one is important, is to examine the headline. If you see a headline that catches your eye and it's sensational and over-exaggerated, it's likely not newsworthy. It is likely not true. It is also important to evaluate the content. You're going to look for supporting evidence. When you see a headline, you need to look for supporting evidence and quotes from people who are experts in the field, as well as citing multiple sources. See a headline come across your, whether you're on social media and you see a catchy headline, note that if you do not see it anywhere else on the internet, that is more than likely misinformation. Another thing you can do is check the date. Sometimes old articles resurface as if they are new. So ensure that the information is current and hasn't been outdated by new developments. Again, to go with what I just said there about checking the dates and cross-referencing, you want to make sure that if it's not confirmed by multiple sources, it's probably unreal. We all saw this footage of the Baltimore, this thing. This was not the Francis Scott Key Bridge on Tuesday, March 26th. This is a different image being misrepresented on the internet and causing a lot of people to be like, what? I thought we saw a smaller ship than this. This is an example of a news source I do not find reputable at all. I believe this is kind of very similar to the National Enquirer. This, the Sun, the Telegraph, TMZ, they are all sensational. Listen to the next thing you're going to check for. Review the tone and language. If it is biased or overly emotional, this kind of language signals that it's misinformation or that the articles are just geared as propaganda. And be skeptical of articles that use inflammatory language or make sweeping generalizations. I'm sharing this information with you because this is something I feel viewers really need. You guys need to be educated in content and understanding that things like this that are exaggerated, and look how long this, I mean, first of all, if you ever went to school for this sort of stuff like media, they'll tell you the shorter the headline, the easier it is for people to catch the attention of that. But I'm just saying, this is like all this information they could have put into one sentence. And it's just, this is showbiz paparazzi news. And I think you guys already know that. You're smart. This is the most important thing and the last thing I'll leave you with. Use fact-checking websites. I use Snopes, but like here in Snopes, it says, did Biden say in 2006 that marriage is between a man and a woman? And the correction is yes, it's a correct attribution. I need to do this because people will use things to try to persuade you to think one way or another. You can also use PolitiFact and Reuters Fact Check. So that's my video for today. If this helped you, please comment, share, like, and subscribe to my channel.